Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pipe It Up podcast, the official podcast of MLW Football. Just like that, the 2025 MLW season is gone.
Gone.
2026 is around the corner.
Dead and gone. Everyone forgot about that season, huh? Mickey Mouse Championship for the Mallards.
No, but speaking of the Mallards, we have all but Preston and Colm on today to get their thoughts and opinions on how the season ended. Obviously good for them as they came home with a championship. Then we move on to talking a little bit about the grit and integrity that the Mallards had in the playoffs. They carried a lot of that momentum in.
Gritty birds.
And then to wrap it up, Jack Aigner joins us with a special announcement. Make sure you guys stay tuned in for that. Without further ado, this is the Pipe It Up podcast, and cue the intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pipe It Up podcast, the official podcast of MLW with Football. Extremely excited to report to you today for the first time in 8 seasons as a World Series champion. I'm joined by Levi and Ty here in studio. We've got another 3 Mallards roster members on the call: Jordan Robles, Brendan Jorgensen, and Trey Flood. PK was unable to join us. I will say that I could lecture and do a monologue about this series and how great it feels to win, but I will spare you all that and let the 2 youngsters here sort of ask away of all the people that are on the call to get some information out of us, hear different perspectives on the series. But first of all, my Mallards teammates, just round of applause for ourselves, gentlemen. Well done. Proud to do it with you guys. Trey, bummed you weren't there, but you were there in spirit, buddy, and I'm glad I was able to do enough to get us the win and not cost us, because we did miss you, Trey. You were a big reason why we got there. I do want to start with you. I'm sure it stunk not being able to come on the trip and play in the postseason.
Yeah, for sure. I am a college baseball player, so unfortunately, we did have a back-to-back practice day on the Saturday and Sunday, making it very difficult for me to get to Los Angeles. Maybe a different time if I was maybe not a freshman this year. I got to earn my spot on the team, got to respect the coaches, do the right thing, and I definitely, wish I was in sunny California rather than snowy Michigan, but it is what it is. And at the end of the day, the boys got it done. That's all that I care about. Couldn't be more proud of the guys.
Yeah, Trey, I saw at the end of the game, they had you on the FaceTime, definitely still including you in the team victory. But
I don't know where that came from. Was it Preston's mom? Who FaceTimed you, Trey?
Yeah, so Preston's mom FaceTimed me, said that a couple of fans wanted to meet me. So it was later at night at that point, and she just gave him the phone. I talked to those guys for a little bit, and the next thing I know, I'm on the field. Kyle's got me, and I'm looking at the camera, and I'm like, "What's going on here?" And I was like, "All right, I guess I'm smiling for this picture." But yeah.
So you realized pretty quickly that the Mallards had won, but you didn't know immediately?
I knew because I was actually going back and forth with shout out Dark MLW. A lot of you guys know him. Great guy. He was giving me updates while I was, in my dorm room studying, getting ready for 7 a.m. practice the next day. So,
yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure that felt great knowing that your guys got the victory and, taking the World Series home with you guys, taking the trophy back to Michigan. But I want to know what was going through your mind while you were texting Dark and, through the ups and downs of the series, as it was a 5-game series and full of all sorts of, twists and turns.
I mean, yeah, for sure. Texting him about the he texted me in the middle of game 5, and just hearing the whole rundown of what went down, I was like, wow, this is already an unbelievable series. And then he texted me through the entirety of game 5, giving me updates and stuff. And I'm just like, holy smokes, like this is a series for the ages. Definitely kept me on my toes. I was super nervous. Like, just when I heard that we won, I was in my dorm, and I just like let out like a "let's go," like just like an audible, you know. But it was crazy. It's just unbelievable. Like, Tom, like, big props to you. I think this is exactly what you needed. It's gonna help you big time, even going into next year too. Just bringing that confidence back. Super glad to see what you did, Jorgy. Great on both sides of the ball all year long in the World Series too. Jordan, of course, doing what he does best football player in the world. And then PK, I mean, wow, just incredible development from him. It's awesome to see him, come full circle, especially since I've known him. I mean, we kind of introduced him to wiffle ball when he was younger, and just seeing him become one of the best players in this league, in my opinion, is just pretty incredible.
Now, I got a question for the best wiffle ball player in the world here, Jordan. So, shout out to Big Dan for these stats. I hope they're all right. But, Jordan, you've won MAW 5 times, BLW tournaments 3 times, Palisades twice. Where does this World Series rank on all your accolades? And, you've accomplished so much.
Nice to hear those. I forget about Palisades Mall. It's been a couple of years. Where does this rank? So when I joined this league in 2022, I came in knowing this is the biggest wiffle ball league in the world. Statistically, look at the viewership, look at the fans, come to one of our events and just see the environments that and just the events that are put on. I would say the top of my list. I was telling this to Cratch on the ride home from the field. He asked me the same question. I would without hesitation, number 1, to win the biggest wiffle ball league in the world. And this series, this video will forever be immortalized too. Like my kids, my grandkids, when we're at the barbecue, who knows how long from now, and they say that I stink, I'm going to say, maybe I do now, but there was a time, and I'll have video evidence.
True.
So, I'd say just to be a part of this league is a blessing, but it's been a rough go for me for these last 3 years, so to finally get it done now, it means the world to me. So I'd say, yeah, definitely the top, man. I'm appreciative to be a part of this, and I'm also aware of just how big and how special the league is. So yeah, it meant a lot to me, man. So happy to finally get it.
Yeah, and Jordan, the whole time you've been in the league, you've been pretty dominant on the mound, always locked in and stuff. When you're pitching in the World Series, would you say you were nervous or just all locked in the whole time, really chasing that first win?
Honestly, just trying to stay locked in on what was going on. I really tried to not look at the crowd. I was listening to the drum kick lines. I was loving that. I was loving the "Let's Go Gators, Let's Go Mallard" chants back and forth. Game 1, the 67. Any way I can interact with the fans and get some emotion or something going from them, I'm always going to utilize that. So it was awesome, man. Not really nervous. Like I said, I've had such rough goes that this year I was it can only go up from here, right? So we got it done, man.
Yeah.
Finally put it together.
Yeah, and Jordan, Kyle mentioned it, I think, one time during the series, and I heard a couple of your grunts audibly, through the video, but this is something that Ty and Levi can't comment on as much as I can. We're not throwing incredibly hard, right? There's a speed limit in this league. It's not like they're playing football out there and you're having to block another 300-pound guy, but it's not easy to stay locked in and do a very meticulous task like pitching a wiffle ball, which requires different grips, release points, and control of your body at a certain velocity for the better part of 4 hours straight. You did that, and you're dealing with some cramping. What exactly was going on? And I kind of could tell you were having some calf issues, but describe to me and the fans what you were dealing with physically as, game 4 and then especially into game 5 out there on the mound, what you were dealing with.
Yeah, so my left calf, my landing leg, just from you were saying, just from repetitively landing over and over again, it just, it was kind of worn out, and then just cramping too. Even in the Magic series, almost yacked on the field. So it's been a trend this year for me. So I've been drinking water. I was taking in electrolytes, potassium, eating bananas, eating whatever, doing whatever I could. But like you're saying, 4 hours, it's different motions. It's hot. It was hot in LA too. So I didn't feel that bad pitching, but when I was taking swings, I think it was one at bat in game 4, I took a swing and my left calf just cramped up and I couldn't move it. You know what I mean? All I can think is there's no way that a cramp will take me off the field. So there was no issue as to whether I was coming out. It was just this is really embarrassing, honestly. I was it's super embarrassing. I'm old. I can't be cramping from wiffle ball. But Todd, you came up clutch with the water, and then you not letting me throw game 3. Honestly, I feel that just letting me get off my legs, letting them not get a look at me. It's still a game that we could have won. Jorgy threw great, but I just think that was a great managerial decision from you.
It's very easy to say in hindsight that it was a great decision, but it was. I think it's the reason we won.
Yes.
Because again, Jorgy threw so well, and then you came in and threw 2 straight shutouts. So like when you do that, of course it looks great. The last thing I want to say before I forget, when we're on the topic of your cramping that these two aren't really aware of, I'll start with you, Jorgy, even though I'm sure it was worse for Jordan. But describe to me as Jorgy, what, you're 25, right?
I am, yeah.
25. Describe to me what you felt, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday after this series was played. How was the body feeling?
Not great.
Us, me, Jason, Chris, Jordan, Tom, all the older guys in this series. I don't think we were having a good time. I just played a tackle football game on Thanksgiving, and it was kind of similar vibes to where it's tough to move the legs. It's just body wasn't having it. I think it was just, which is weird because when I just play a normal 3-game series, I'm totally fine. It's just those extra 2 games, the added stress and tension,
I think it's the stress.
and just being out there. Yeah, I think the stress definitely played a factor, and my legs were about toast. I probably didn't eat as much as I should have. Just kind of had a breakfast and then didn't eat till after. So yeah, body was not okay.
Jordan, how about you? I'll say, I guess before you even answer, I'll say that I've always famously referenced the most sore I've ever been in my entire life was after the 2019 NWLA tournament when I hadn't played baseball in 2 seasons, had never really played fast pitch wiffle ball, and then I threw 15 innings of fast pitch over the course of about 24 hours, and then that next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and even a little bit into Thursday, my hips and quads, hamstrings were just so sore. And truthfully, this series, which I didn't throw a single pitch, played 1 game on defense, but again, this was 6 years later, I was just as sore. I think it must have been the stress because I didn't do a whole lot. Maybe I was just that tense out there, running and sprinting, and I don't know, but I was incredibly sore. And I'm like, if I feel like this, Jordan must not be able to walk. I couldn't believe I was so sore.
Yeah, I really wasn't able to walk. I was telling a coworker today, this is the first time this week, this Monday, that I felt normal, moving around. By Wednesday, I was able to walk normally in terms of I could extend my legs, but getting into my car, getting out of my car was brutal. And then just I can't tell people oh, why are you limping? I play wiffle ball, that sounds ridiculous. So it's a weird, weird spot to be in. But yeah, nah, it was rough. It was honestly the 6-hour flight too. That was the longest flight I've ever been on in my life. It was great, but it just takes a lot out of you. You know what I mean? The time zone going East Coast to West Coast, but
Yep.
I love West Coast. 6 a.m. college game day. I love that. Put me on the West Coast every weekend.
What time did you wake up, Tom, on Saturday morning?
Oh, yeah. I had a rough time with the time change. Well, my body clock is just so bad. Even in Michigan when I'm here, because for my job, I pretty much get up anywhere between 4:15 and 5:15, depending on what I need to do that day. I'll get up. So even on a Saturday or Sunday, I usually don't sleep past 6 a.m. But now 3-hour time change going to LA. Saturday we went to bed at or Friday, excuse me. When did we get there? What did we do? Went to the pier, right?
We went to Monaco.
So we went to bed at 11 maybe? 10:30, 11?
Something like that. Yeah,
I don't know.
It was
I was
1 o'clock.
Long story short, I was wide awake at about 3:30 in the morning, and I was like, "This really sucks." So I sat there and I watched a lot of Sawyer film, watched a lot of Dustin film. Can't say that I performed like I watched an extra 3 hours of film before anybody else woke up, but maybe it gave me the confidence I needed to get 1 extra hit, and that could have been the difference. It wasn't, but it could have been. So yeah, I did not sleep good the whole trip. Was exhausted. Landing on Sunday, it was just a blur, but it was really cool. I really had a lot of fun playing in the series with the amount of stress and the stakes. It just made it feel really, even if it's not it's not a Super Bowl, obviously, but it felt meaningful, and it was fun to play in a really meaningful sporting event for the first time in 2 seasons for me. And, and even dating back like to baseball, that felt as big as like a high school baseball playoff game or things like that. So it was exciting for me. But yeah, I could talk more. I could go on for hours, guys.
Congrats, Tom.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I do appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jorgy. Game 5, 2 outs, bottom of the last. Flare hit to you. Just take me through what's going through your mind. Are we thinking we're going to catch this? Are we nervous about it? Just did it like slow down? Just talk me through that.
I'll say that one was nowhere near as bad as the one Sawyer hit to me. What was it, the third inning or whatever, when Chris was on second? And yeah, bottom of the third when Chris was on second, because that I knew if I dropped, he was scoring. I guess in my mind, it was like, I mean, I wasn't thinking about dropping it necessarily, but I was like, well, if I drop this, Jason's probably just on first. Jordan's dealing. We're probably fine, but you don't want to run around because then, one swing ends the game. So I don't know. You don't have enough time when the ball's in the air to think. That one was less spinny than Sawyer's. I just saw it coming to me, and I don't know. Just go grab the ball, chuck it. I think I almost hit Jason when I chucked it too. I wish I would have, but yeah, there wasn't too much going on. Just make a play.
I knew you'd catch both, Jorgy. I would have been so sad if you dropped the one and we lost. Not even the loss would have been bad, but like I would have just felt more so bad for you. Like that did not just happen. I gotta say, our defense this series was spectacular. Which
it was
we
locked
are
down.
Honestly like the worst defense.
Jordy's Omar Vizquel, dude.
We were probably the worst defense in the league at times. We had 2 borderline plays that I was kind of responsible for both. I thought where plays didn't get made. And Jorgy, you might have bobbled one, but we were so good. Like Preston to Robles, the flips to first. Jorgy, you throw out a guy at home, pegged out Dustin at third. Like you were money. You were so good on defense. So good. I love that.
Yeah, question for Jordan. I mean, obviously the defense is a big factor in this series. How is it pitching with, in the back of your mind knowing that your defense is going to, make plays for you, behind you?
I mean, it was awesome. Like the series, especially game 1 specifically, could have gone very different if we didn't make those defensive plays. That throwing Stags out game 1, inning 1, allowed me to keep the shutout. But just think about, like, hypothetically, if they score, it's 2-1, no one out, runner on first. So it could be drastically different. And then game 2, Jorgy turned, was it game 2 you turned the other double play?
Yeah, that was 2.
Yeah. Again, like it kept us in the game. It gave us opportunities to try and win it. Eventually we didn't, but it just kept them at bay. And then you move forward, you think to game 5, they're less likely to be aggressive on the base paths when we've been defensively perfect all day long. Like it really forced them to stay station to station. So that's defense wins championships. And like Tommy said, all year, a little bit shaky, but we were not Garrett Cole and Anthony Rizzo at first base, me and PK. And I'm a baseball coach. I preach this. I do PFPs every single day. That is a play you cannot mess up. It's very easy to mess it up, but you cannot mess it. Like that wins or loses games, plays to first base like that, where the pitcher has to cover. So do PFPs every day.
Yep. Non-baseball guys, PFP is pitcher fielding practice. Pitcher fielding practice. So very common baseball terminology in practice when you're working on those ground balls to first where the pitcher is covering. And yes, my high school team practiced those a lot too. Jordan, I talked about in my post-game interview how, like, Kyle was like, I mean, I could re-answer this whole question, but Kyle's question to me was, what makes this group different? And I think he usually always asks that. And, my answer with 2 words was just, we fought. We fought hard. And I'm not saying we hadn't fought in the past, but a lot of it was referring to you, and obviously Preston was a total dog in this series. Like he had every game-winning RBI in the postseason. All 5 of our wins was Preston's bat. But with you, you're obviously, when you're at your best, the best pitcher in the league. I think that's been pretty apparent for your whole career. In the postseason, there's been a hit here that hasn't gone our way, and then people have ran away with it. But what do you think made you able to fight harder and more successfully than you were in the past? Like, obviously you got a game off here, but this was more than you've ever pitched in a day in MLW. What was working? What did you change? Like, what really was the strategy? Maybe there was none, but just give us a little bit of insight in terms of how the day went, like almost psychologically for you as a pitcher.
Yeah, so I mean, like you were saying earlier, it's a big, meaningful event. Like it is wiffle ball at the end of the day, but we've devoted so much time, so many years. Like I'm thinking of all the flights and the
Yep.
airport parking, like just all the time and sacrifices made. Um, I knew that I play better with fans. So I knew like once the people started pouring in and like just started feeling that energy from the crowd, it would just be another game. And if anything, I know I'm going to play better with people cheering and just being loud. Um, I'll say a big thing, game three, like Jorgy threw a great game, but he like not a bad thing, like seeing just how angry he was because we were so close to winning. You know what I mean? He threw such a great game, and just to see us go down 2-1 like that, and it wasn't like bringing team vibes down at all, but just seeing like he was genuinely upset, and that made me like, give me the ball right now. I like give me the ball right now, game 4, game 5, and we're gonna win. But just like all the years that we've been together, like
Mm-hmm.
kind of like seeing some of the fan comments saying that they've grown up with us. So like I knew there was a lot more at stake than just like any personal desires. Like obviously we want to win, but like people
Mm-hmm.
were invested in us. So, you don't want
Yeah,
to
I
let people
agree.
down.
I agree. Little chip on your shoulder. I love it.
Yeah, I got a question for Trey and Jorgy. Obviously, this is not your first time around. This is your guys' second World Series title. For the both of you, what's the difference between your first and then your second? What challenges have you guys, seen in the gap from winning?
I would say for me personally, neither one of them did I play in the World Series, so it's tough to answer that question. Um, but either way, at the end of the day, I still technically have two World Series championships, and completely different teams. But I would just say, just from a different perspective, just going to the Mallards in general was a different step for me, and I knew it was going to be something different. But I feel as if we just meshed together really well from the start. Um, I felt like my job was just to kind of be a glue guy to bring these guys together the best that I
Trey, you were
could.
more than a glue
Keep
guy. I mean,
them.
you were our starting guy before you were unavailable. Like this was your, even though you missed. Yeah, don't sell yourself short. I wanted to interrupt you because if you had been there, Trey, you would have played in both these postseason series instead of me. Let's have that be very clear.
Okay, all right, I appreciate it. I'm talking more on the mental side of things. Just
Yeah.
being a guy that can do my best to keep everyone up, keep everyone, bring some energy. Do my job, and just I was just glad to be part of the team, glad to be part of another year of MLW, and you know, at the end of the year, getting a championship, whether I'm there or not, is just awesome, and just glad to be a part of it.
And on my side, it's honestly they were just very, very different feeling World Series. 2020, my rookie year, coming in with Chris, almost feeling like I almost kind of had to prove myself. I felt like more was riding on my shoulders, but Chris honestly ended up stepping up and doing most of the work. But back then it was just a couple random days in August. We head to the Meadows, won a World Series in front of my parents and my sister. And then, you get to 2025, the league is so much more talented. All these younger guys have passed me up on my talent. But I was still a big piece and still playing a lot, still, focused on fielding, running, hitting, and just,
A lot
with
of hits.
everything with making it, yeah, luckily. But just making it out to LA just to begin with and getting to, go out there with Chris and Jason, that was really cool. And I've never been to LA, and then playing in front of the fans, it just felt so much more different. Obviously, if I were to pick a championship over the other, I'd pick this one just because of how far the league's gone. And honestly, just like kind of what Jordan was saying about, me getting upset in the game three and him being a competitor. Like I know how much Jordan cares about
Mm-hmm.
this and how big of a guy in football he is. Over the last couple of years, I honestly really just want to win it for him. I've been out behind him in the field, talking to him while he's pitching. I've seen us lose, and I really, as someone who also really cares a lot, I know how much he cared. So just getting him that title just felt important to me.
Yeah, I agree with that, Jorgy. You in wiffle ball, it's no secret. Again, I'll lead this off by saying Preston's a dog. We don't win this series without Preston. But it's no secret in wiffle ball that like pitching really falls on primarily one guy. Jorgy, you did great. Again, I'll keep reiterating that. But like you were definitely in the position of a setup man to get back to Jordan. And without a successful ace in wiffle ball, it's difficult to win anything, let alone a championship. And Jorgy, you and I have both been those ace guys at times, and you know how awesome it is to get support offensively from your other guys and defensively from your other guys. And it feels great to win. You take a lot of accountability in the losses and a lot of accountability in the wins. And Jordan and I have played a lot of games together over the last 4 seasons. We won a lot of them. But unfortunately in the playoffs, again, we've seemed to fall short, whether it was because of, mentally falling apart or, the ball not bouncing our way. Just many different factors that have contributed to us not getting it done despite being so talented. I think we've been the 1 seed 2 of Jordan's 4 years. Well, we got to bye this year too. So you could argue like 3 of the 4 years we were a top seeded team. And this year we finally got it done. And yeah, I was just really happy for Jordan, for all of us, and then for the fans too, because like Jordan said, of course, like I'm not like I'm spending all day every day reading comments and things like that and DMs, but I see them. I've seen them over the years, from some from new people, some from repetitive people that have always rooted for us. So, I've met these people in person, a lot of them, and you see how invested they are, and they're really grateful that the league exists because it gives them a lot of joy. So you're just happy to, as a fan of teams, like I'm a fan of the Lions, different scale here, but it's nice to be able to deliver for people that root for you. That's my thoughts. What are your thoughts, Jordan, on just like the mental aspect of winning and reflecting on it now over the last few weeks?
I mean, it definitely feels great. Like, just looking at the shirts you guys are wearing, it looks awesome. Now that the content, look at that. Now available at MLWmerch.com, by the way.
That's right.
Now that I can talk about it too, because November 8th it was played, but Friday, game 5 just uploaded. So, I mean, it's surreal. Like, it truly surreal, just awesome. I mean, like you were saying, like, I'm almost happier to see people like happy for us. That I don't, maybe that sounds weird, but like it's good to finally come through and good to finally have a happy ending, complete the story. After the way things have gone in years prior, like it just felt like it was the perfect series, perfect year for the Ducks here.
Yeah, I mean, a lot has to go your way. It's not an easy league to win. I've talked about on this podcast many times that, wiffle ball in general, especially MLW with how the rules are set up, it doesn't always reward, the most talented, definitely not the biggest, strongest guys, maybe not the best, like, athletes. It's all about executing and delivering. And in a series like this, like, the endurance physically, mentally, staying locked in. And shout out to Preston. Like, he came up. You need guys to step up in those moments, and Preston was that guy. And defensively, Jorgy, Robles, Preston were just money all day. So it was nerve-wracking to watch, very different for me compared to my previous championship with the Mallards. But this one's, special in its own way. I'm not going to say either one is more or less special, but this one felt like a lot of closure on the last 7 seasons of really, for the most part, really talented teams with firepower on, offense, pitching, and falling short. And then to actually do it, and like you said, Jordan, to watch it back in the video and hear Kyle on the call, like with the Mallards winning the World Series, it's like, I haven't heard that in 8 seasons. So it's just cool, and it's makes you think about how much all the memories you've shared in between the runs, and it's not easy to do. But there's 8 teams in this league, and it took us another 8 years to win it. So I'm very grateful that it all worked out the way it did, because there's no guarantees. I knew we had another shot this year, just like we had in years past, but nothing's promised. So I'm really grateful that we were able to get back to the World Series and actually win it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe this, this year's already over. Felt like it was just yesterday that opening day was around the corner. Now game 5 of the World Series was just posted. Soon enough, they're going to be voting on who the fans want to see as their MVP and their Cy Young. And Jordan, I want to know what's something you're going to say to these fans right here.
Ooh.
What's a statement for those who are going to be casting votes on their MVP and Cy Young?
Listen, I'm a big proponent, a big advocate of democracy. So vote for who they believe in. The Mallards won. I got what I wanted. I wanted to win the championship. If you think I was the most valuable player, give me a vote. If not, vote for who you think. But yeah, I'm no politician. I think they should vote for who they think was the most valuable guy. It would be awesome, to win. But I'm just glad the Ducks won the ring.
Me too.
It's a great answer, Jordan. All
I'm
right.
so happy. So happy for the guys and for the fans, like I said.
All right, guys, you got your win. I know it's a little early and you can all comment on this, but going into the 2026 season,
Oh, man.
are we content?
Let us enjoy this
Are
moment,
we content with it, or are we just going to go back to back? Like, what are the thoughts on that?
I haven't seen the hats yet. I want to see the championship hats.
Sure.
Maybe 2-color shorts. Maybe that. These are things I'm thinking about. Next year, like a championship hat and maybe some black Mallard shorts. I love the hoodies too.
There we go.
MLWmerch.com. Team hoodies, very nice.
Team hoodies. That's right. I'm not thinking about next year either. We're definitely going to enjoy this one for a little while. The video just came out 3 days ago, so it feels like it happened 3 days ago. So I'm going to enjoy it. I'm just very grateful for, like, we fought and we won. Not saying you can't both fight and lose, but we fought and we were rewarded for our efforts, and we just, for whatever reason, a lot of calls that were close, like video replay confirmed everything, but like all the close calls seemed to go our way, like the ball bounced our way, besides the very last one where we didn't score the extra run on the bad throw, but then I couldn't deliver to bring it in. But I'm just very, very grateful that this group was able to get one, because I feel like we deserved it with what we've endured, with how talented we are. And, I got to give a lot of credit to Jorgy, because, I wasn't there for every series this year. He was, and I think they played great when I wasn't there. And then in the postseason, again, not saying that I was remotely close to the reason we won. Like, I was definitely, I think, still statistically probably our fourth best guy in California. And I don't even really think that, like, anything that I necessarily did offensively was, like, directly led to a run. But Jorgy helped me, prepare for this series and for the playoff series beforehand. And I definitely made less outs in those last two series than I did in the rest of the year. So, I don't know if those practices benefited Jorgy as much as they benefited me, because we're out there just the two of us. So he's pitching to me and he can throw a lot of strikes for me to see as a hitter, whereas I'm pitching to him. Like, I'm struggling to find the zone. So Jorgy was a big piece of this. And, I think that should be said. So thank you, Brendan, for spending your time with me.
Yeah, the Mallards have been, Tom, you guys have had a lot of streaky players throughout the series. You go back to the first slate, it was, Trey, who had a couple bombs off Jimmy. Mm-hmm. Then you go to New York, and it's definitely Robles, who shut the door on us, had a bomb, had a couple hits in there. But get into the postseason, I think it was a team effort for sure. It was a lot of guys who all stepped up at the same time. And that's why you guys did so good and were dominant in the playoffs. I know for sure against the Preds, everybody was hitting the ball. It wasn't, there was no easy out in that lineup. And I think that's when the Mallards are so scary, is when they play as a team. Definitely saw that in the postseason, and that's definitely a big contributor to the World Series ring that they get to bring home.
That's what it takes, man. It's not an easy league to win, and you got to have a deep lineup that anyone can strike. And again, it was Preston who ended up striking the most for us. Jorgy too, Jorgy getting on base, Preston driving him in, but we all played pretty well. So, fellas, we got another minute and a half here before the Zoom meeting cuts off. Anyone dying to get off anything about the Mallard season? Fire away the takes.
Yeah, I'd love to. From an outsider's perspective, Tom, it's just really great to see you in the last series get those 5 hits. In this series, contribute in a big way with the bat. Like, I just think that right there is a huge part of our development, and that's kind of what I think about coming into 2026, is adding depth to our roster with you, building back up your confidence. You were one of the best hitters in the league in 2023. No one can say that's not true. And I got a feeling we're going to get you back up to that point. I think it's a little bit of work, but I have confidence in you, Tom. I think that's one thing that I'm very happy with coming into 2026.
Appreciate it, Trey.
I'd like to say thank you to the fans, all the people that came out to LA, all the people that's followed along all these years. Thank you guys. It really means a lot to us, and just very appreciative, and don't take that for granted at all. So thank you guys that watch the videos and make all this possible.
Love it. Jorgy, quick comments?
To Chris and Jason. This close, fellas. This close.
Oh,
Gonna be an off season of terror for you boys.
I love it. Well, gentlemen, appreciate you all again. Congrats to the Mallards.
Congrats, guys.
Myself included. What a run. A lot of fun. I'll definitely remember those couple playoff series with you guys forever. So appreciate you, gentlemen. We're champs. They can never take that away from us. We'll see you guys later. All right, fellas. I have one more. I do actually want to give another alternate answer to Kyle's question when he asked me post-game, but I want to hear from you two first. What was just your closing thoughts on the series? What do you guys think, taking in all 5 games?
It was better than I can imagine, for sure. The amount of intense moments that Kyle did a very good job on when he edited this whole series. A lot of those, full at-bats that really bring the series to life that you wouldn't see any other way. It was just a great series. Both teams gave it their all, but in the end, the Mallards just had a little bit extra juice to get it done.
It could have gone. Again, I'm thrilled we won. I think we won for a reason, but it could have gone either way, man. That was as even as it gets.
It really
was as even as it gets.
Yeah. No, I thought it was I didn't think it was me that close. I had you guys in 5, I think, but that was much closer than I thought it was going to be. And again, I agree with Levi. Kyle did a great job on the production. Overall, series was great. Venue looked great. Really couldn't have asked for a better 2025 World Series.
Yeah, I agree. We won. I'll be totally honest with you guys. Game 5, bottom 3, I'm like, oh my God, this is really going to happen. This is going to rip my heart out. And then bottom 4, same thing. Bottom 5, I had more hope. I'm like, 3 outs. But it was stressful. Even bottom 2, stressful. I'm like, 1 run here, and we're just backs against the wall. We really haven't. This was the first time I can remember. Maybe this is a little selfish, but because it's probably not true. But with this group of guys, I guess I should say me and Robles together, true backs against the wall moments. We haven't had that many come from behind big wins. I think of one, and I guess if I said selfishly, because we won that game against the Eagles in 2023. That was my last playoff home run. But then we lost the series. So. Again, we beat ourselves. I don't think that the Mallards have been the most mentally tough team over the years, unfortunately. And I knew this was going to be a test for Jordan because it was inevitable that they were going to get hits off him eventually, right? And that happened in game 2 when he had back-to-back home runs. And I'm like, can Jordan do this? Can he endure the highs and the lows of a 5-game series? Because we're going to need that in order for it to happen. And Levi, you got a taste of what I'm talking about in the semifinals. Yeah. Right? When you guys started to put pressure on us, all of a sudden it was like, holy cow, the Mallards they're on their heels. So it's unfortunate, but I tried to keep everyone very composed, and I prepped them before the series. There's going to be a point in time, Jordan, where you're going to need to come off the mound. It's just going to happen. Jorgy, you get in there and do your best, and then after that, Jordan, hopefully it's your series to win. Being down 2-1 was not ideal. And I think a huge turning point, in my opinion, it sucks to say this, but I think when Sawyer went in for Stags, big shift. Obviously, Preston hit the home run, but I think even more so than that, when I saw that Dustin was hurting, I felt like our energy perked up a little bit because we started to see Sawyer a little better. I hate that may have been a difference in the series, but again, Jordan started to cramp up, and he was wincing after every pitch, wincing after every pitch. And he was able to push through it. Unfortunately for Dustin, his injuries has been prolonged over time. I think he's had an ongoing forearm problem, so he couldn't endure it. But they kind of had us on our heels there, I thought. And going into game 4, having to face him again, I was like, we started to hit him. We did. We actually got a run before Sawyer came in. But I think forcing him out gave us enough wind underneath our sails to get it done, which was awesome. Again, super proud of Jordan for being able to stay focused for that long and be just money, back-to-back shutouts to win it. It's just crazy. So that's kind of what I was trying to get at when Kyle asked me, what makes this group different? It's, not only did we fight, but we never quit on ourselves. We have been, in my opinion, the more talented team more often than not in some of these playoff series that we've had since Jordan's been on the team. And we've gotten behind and not fought back, or we've had a bad break and then let things slip away. And this year it didn't happen. Jordan never wavered. He stepped out of the game with his head held high, and he came back in ready to go. Such a big difference. And offensively, like Preston, he showed a little frustration at times, but overall kept his head in it. Jorgy was definitely frustrated with himself after the Grand Slam, and I was like, I pulled him aside. I'm like, dude, I need you to lock in. Like, forget it. Forget about it. No big deal. Like, we knew pitching you might lead to a Game 3 loss, like to put us in elimination mode. That was a known risk. But I thought that while pitching Jorgy in Game 3 gave us a worse chance of winning that game, I thought it gave us a greater chance of winning the series, and it turned out to be true, thankfully for us. So that was the difference with this team, is we never wavered. We had moments in time where I saw guys looking a little grim, but as soon as I went and talked to him, I felt like the whole energy changed, and Jordan kept his head up high the whole time, no matter how many speed violations he encountered, no matter how many strikeouts he had at the plate. No matter walking a guy or having a bad break on defense, like he just stayed so locked in from start to finish. And that was the difference in this group that we didn't have in years past. That was the true difference, I thought.
Yeah, it was all around a complete squad when they got it done when they needed to and never gave up, like you said, Tom. Just a gritty team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How about you, Ty? Oh, you kind of already commented a little bit, but any final thoughts?
Just, I think the team that won was the team that had the better mental state during that whole series. You guys were so composed, fought through it. Being in a Game 5 as the away team in a tied game like that is the toughest thing. Like you were commenting on it, like those innings where it's tied and you're the away team, you're just like one swing of the bat on their team, game's over. So fighting through that is so tough, and you guys did a great job.
Yeah, I remember even feeling that same way as a pitcher, even though I had so much confidence in myself. And back then, I couldn't be phased in terms of my mental toughness. But in 2017, our last win, I remember we had a chance to score more runs in the top of the third to get ahead of the Cobras and win in regulation. And I was the guy up, and I struck out. And then it was tied going into the bottom of the third. And I'm like, oh my gosh, one swing and this is over. I remember having the same feeling back then, and it worked out both times. Undefeated in Game 5s, just saying. 3-0.
Hey, there you go.
3-0 in Game 5s. Don't let them get hot. But no, this is awesome. Again, this win was for the guys. They earned it. I tried to help as much as I possibly could. Of course, selfishly, I wanted to have, a home run or a big moment. I felt like I was starting to see Sawyer, but he did a good job of tying me up inside a couple times, mixing up the way his drop ball was spinning. So, yeah, of course, I wanted to do more. I wanted to have that big moment in front of the crowd, but ultimately I just wanted this team to win, and it still gives me chills, hearing Kyle saying, the Mallards won the World Series, because this group, Robles, Preston, he's been grinding, getting better, getting mentally tougher, all the fans. It was just a long time coming, I think, in wiffle ball years. Maybe in 8 years in the pro sports isn't that long, but in wiffle ball years, it was a long time coming.
Mm-hmm.
For this group. With the amount of talent we've had, too. It's been a long time coming. So, super thrilled. I would be curious to get some fan questions, too, for any of the players, but I think the biggest things that you guys missed out on from the video, number one is, again, it's hard to put it unless you watch the videos 5 in a row, which would take you somewhere in the range of 2.5 hours, 3 hours. That'll give you a better sense of, what our bodies went through and how mentally strenuous it is. But when you split the videos of the games over 5 videos, you lose the sense of the marathon that these World Series are, that are 5 games. It's a true mental grind. Just compared to what we're used to. We're used to playing in a 3-game series. Not saying playing a 5-game series is that unbelievably hard, but it's just something that only happens once every couple of years in MLW. There hasn't been that many Game 5s. There's been 3 since 2021. So it's been every other year. But that's a big change of pace. So that, and then again, Jordan's cramping was a big thing. Dustin's injury was a thing. And there wasn't really a lot of breaks between games. There was one short break after Game 3, but besides that, it was just go, 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 go. So I think that's probably the biggest differences versus what you guys actually see on camera. But I'd like to hear from the Gators next week. Hopefully, we'll try to get some of those guys on to hear from their perspective. Talk more about the video with Kyle, too, at some point. Holidays are coming up, too, so we'll have to figure out how to cram these things in, potentially. But, yeah, I know I want to hear from the Gators. And, again, hear from Kyle on the video editing side of this series because it was very well done. And then I want to hear from some of the other guys, like Dallas Allen said he wanted to come on and talk a little bit about the Eagles, and then before you know it, we'll be talking about next year's draft. So that's kind of what's on the horizon. But overall, just a phenomenal series. An absolute pleasure to play in. Like, again, a lot of fun. It was a crazy long weekend, but I really enjoyed it, and it made me feel like I was back in high school on the Mallards playing at Colts Field. So a ton of fun. But now, fellas, if you're ready to pivot, we're going to get Jack Aigner in here in a moment, and we got him on Zoom now. Jack, hello. Welcome to the show this week.
Howdy, howdy. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for jumping on. Selfishly, I did it, Jack. I did it for the pod. I did it for you.
Dude, first and foremost, I mean, congratulations. I'm sure I just missed a legendary World Series breakdown, but I think... two World Series in 3 years for the Pipe It Up podcast. I think people are starting to murmur about potentially a dynasty building here.
Don't let them get hot.
Starting to murmur. People are starting to murmur. They said the vets couldn't do it. They were coming for our heads as managers, and we were able to do it. You were able to do it. I'm just so proud of the Mallards. It's awesome. I'm honestly like so genuinely stoked for you.
Thanks, Jack. I'm stoked. I'm stoked for everybody. I mean, I said I wouldn't talk too much in this pod. I was like, Ty and Levi, you guys can ask most of the questions, but I've definitely done my fair share of chiming in because there's a parts of the narrative that I think need to be told. So I'm not afraid to share that. That's why they put a mic in front of us, right? It's the whole point of a podcast is to make sure that the fans hear what they need to hear through my perspective. I want the Gators to share their narratives too, right? So I definitely poured it all out for him, Jack, but you'll have to listen to it back at your leisure.
I will, and I guess if you already addressed this, then forgive me, but I did want to ask you, like looking back on, I feel like you probably won. Did you win any World Series before 2017 with the Mallards?
The 2017 was the Mallards' inaugural season, so that was our first year as a squad. That was our only championship.
No. I meant you personally.
Oh, yeah.
Because you were obviously OG.
Yeah, but I mean, my first 2010, 2011, 2012 was a totally different era than 2017, which was a totally different era than 2025. I think, we'll go ahead and ask your question, but...
Well, I was going to say, like, let's just think of, put yourself in your shoes, 2017 and then 2025. I think those are probably, like you said, they're all kind of in different eras.
Yeah.
But I guess just comparing those two, they both were very epic, epic finishes to World Series. So, like, in your opinion, I mean, what one? It's tough to obviously pick one, and they're both different. But what one do you think is like more memorable? I guess if that's even like a question, or I guess what one like sticks out to you more? Obviously, this one has a little bit of like recency bias, but I feel like 2017 being the first team to like come down from a 2-0 deficit and like the way you guys won the double play, like it was just so epic.
Yeah, I mean they're both very special, Jack, and it's hard to pick one. I think I remember both for like different reasons. 2017 was a new team, one that I was the pitcher on, the only pitcher. And I had a lot of offensive support from Noah and then even Steve in the playoffs. And that one felt kind of like almost like doing the impossible at the time. Like the Cobras were so loaded with talent, and we had myself who played baseball and Steve too, but Noah who did not. And that was like a blur of like, how did we just do that and achieve that? And like, what a fun, incredible memory that we'll have forever. That like, sure, it's a wiffle ball league, but like, it was so cool to come back being down 2-0 and win like at the time like growing small but growing with football league, like to have a series play out the way it did with like the most epic clutch moments, like things you couldn't make up, was just really cool. And it's like this backyard game just produced such a fun memory in my life. This one I feel more, I don't know. I mean, I'm very grateful for the first one, but this one I do have like a different appreciation for, I guess, because there's so much talent in this league. We've been so talented for so long. Like when I say we, like having Jordan on my team, right? Like we're a contender. And to actually have it fall our way this year and to see Jordan's growth and PK's growth, like in their mental toughness, and to be able to, you know, have it where like Trey really got us here, and then I was given the opportunity to play in this one, and, you know, got a couple hits, did what I could to help us win however I could. I just feel really like appreciative of the opportunity and the experience, and for the fact that we actually did it. 8 years later, we were able to still, and I was able to put together a winning team, and we won a league that's full of so much talent and parity. You know, we executed in moments that were clutch. You know, Preston, Jordan, Jorgy getting on base, like everybody trying to do their best to win it and climb the mountain. So I just feel really grateful to be back on top, and to say like 2017 was so special, but I think if I had never won this league again, it would have been like, man, I had so many chances and never, like, the ball just didn't bounce our way. You know, I struck out in a big at bat, or Robles missed a pitch when he needed to actually execute and to do it a second time. It's like, that's nice to have another memory to pull from, you know?
Yeah, I think that's very well said. I think that's one of just the great things about sports in general, and like being a fan of sports and watching championship runs happen, is that there's just no two seasons that are ever the same. Like even as like, you know, even teams that build these dynasties that, you know, might win a lot of whatever it is, World Series or Super Bowls in, you know, a certain amount of years, even for them, like every season is a new season. And I like the way you just laid out kind of like the differences between that 2017 run and the 2025, because they're just like totally different, like Mallards teams, like completely, just in how they stacked up, yet like the outcome of the season was the same, which I just think is really cool. And yeah, man, I'm just like, I'm really excited for you. So
thank you. I appreciate that. And I could lecture it and tell the same story 10 different ways, but hopefully the combination of words I've used has described it in a way that the fans can feel. But honestly, I'm just really grateful that it worked out for us this year, because there's no feeling like it. You know, when you make that final out and you win, and as silly as it sounds, like, you know, I think any of us that were once athletes, some of us, you know, just being a kid, some of us through high school, some of us like Jack at a high level in college, some people even in the pros, like you miss those competitive moments where you deliver and you hold the trophy over your head, you know, whether it's a board game or a cool league that people watch online. Like, it's a great feeling of accomplishment and joy and pride. And it's, again, I feel thankful to have experienced it a second time in MLW. I know it's been 5 times, but 2 that we're drawing from right now. So yeah, thanks for the questions, Jack. But we wanted to have Jack on today. He requested to appear on the podcast virtually. Jack has a bit of an announcement. I don't want to steal his thunder at all, but Jack, the microphone is yours, my friend. Take it away.
Well, I mean, I feel it was only appropriate to come onto this podcast first and foremost to congratulate Tommy, and I certainly don't want to steal his thunder and the rest of the Mallards, you know, steal their thunder, but. I mean, as you listeners have been probably paying attention, you know, the more we've been getting Ty and Levi involved, probably the less and less, you know, you've heard of myself and a little bit of Tommy here and there. But I did want to just let you guys know formally that going forward, I will no longer be an official co-host of the Pipe It Up podcast. Not saying that it's the last time you guys will ever hear from me. I'm sure I'll be on again. I'd like to be a guest on the Pipe It Up podcast, if that's if that's ever a possibility. But
Of course it is.
yeah, this is there's just chapters, I think, in everybody's life where you really just have to like prioritize stuff. And to be honest, there's a lot going on right now. A lot of great things, like all good things. And right now, like, I think the Pipe It Up podcast is sort of at a point where we're passing it to the new guard. And I'm really excited to see, where it can go. I've been so extremely blessed to have been able to co-host for as long as I have and share, so many conversations with Tommy and with all you listeners. I remember the very first podcast we ever recorded I was a part of, was just around this card table in Kyle's basement. And I just remember leaving that being like, man, there were so many things I wish I would have said differently, but that was so much fun. That was so much fun. And I really only kind of got into doing this podcast just because I thought it would be fun. Like, I'm a podcast listener myself, obviously. So I thought it would just be fun to like comment and bring another form of content around the league to you guys. And it's been way more than like I ever could have imagined. So first and foremost, just want to thank, all you listeners for supporting us, supporting me and Tom as we've kind of shared these co-hosting responsibilities. Thank, obviously, Tommy and my man for just being the best co-host could have ever asked for. And Kyle for the opportunity to, fill the shoes of the co-host and host before me on the Pipe It Up podcast. And yeah, it was such a blessing to be able to be in your guys' ears once a week for however long we've been doing this. It was really a lot of fun. So I just wanted to kind of formally, let you guys know sort of what the situation was, so there wasn't really any confusion, and you guys kind of knew where we stood. So yeah.
Yeah, and Jack, it's funny, I think a lot of people, more than I thought, I thought like we had this like sly plan a little bit of like, bringing in Ty and Levi and getting some new faces on the show, so that way like one day when Jack or myself like do step away, it's not such a harsh transition for the fans that listen, of course, because that's the last thing that Jack and I wanted, was for the podcast to suffer, because like just because our lives were opening different chapters, we know that you guys really enjoy listening to us. So I think the both of us felt like we owed it to the pod to, do this the right way. Not saying this is my last podcast ever. Like Jack has a lot more on his plate right now in his personal life than I do. So like, I think I'll be around a little longer, but at the end of the day, yeah, it's funny, Jack, people call their bluff, but at the same time, Jack, I do without,
they're smart. They're smart listeners.
They're smart. Now I got to give a couple bit of flowers, a couple bouquets of flowers to Jack, I should say, without trying to lecture everybody for 10, 15 minutes. But a couple of things I want to touch on. First thing is, yeah, Jack stepped into the podcast, and honestly, like he sparked a passion in me for it, because I've said this before, I think, but I wasn't a big like podcast listener or fan or consumer. Kyle was really big into podcasting and wanted to bring it to MLW. Ryan and Drew got that responsibility, and then like it phased into Kyle and Dan during COVID, and then it phased towards me and Jack. And I could tell Jack just like really, really loved it, and it brought out an interest in me for it. And then like Jack pointed me towards other podcasts, and now I do enjoy listening to some podcasts while I drive around for my job. So like Jack really motivated me to get into this as well. And then one thing I thought was super cool that Jack, you've said for years, but again brought it up because as everybody listening to this show knows, like obviously I became less involved with MLW in the off seasons between 2023 and 2024. So of course, another thing I looked at the time was the podcast. I was like, Jack, I'm taking my life in a different direction. I've got a full-time job lined up. Like, what are we going to do with the show? And with Jack, at that time, Jack, you did not have a baby on the way yet. But, of course, like you had your full-time job. You had the lacrosse club going. You were a new homeowner, just gotten married. So I'm like, gosh, if I'm like trying to figure out how I'm going to squeeze it into my new schedule with the responsibilities I'm taking on and trying to, just like I was always 110% all in on MLW, like now I want to do the same thing at my new job, right? I want to be just as good, just as successful. So, and a little bit to my surprise with how busy you were, like your response to me saying like, well, what do you want to do here? Because I could have probably been persuaded. And Jack was like, I really think that MLW and the podcast, like in a world with a lot of stuff that goes on, especially on the internet, and how much like now consumers, especially young consumers, have access to so much media. Like MLW and Pipe It Up are such a positive, joyful force of content and a piece of content that I really enjoy contributing to it and bringing positivity and family-friendly content to families and people that listen and watch it. So I'd love to continue going if you want to. And like by the time you finished his little spiel, I was fired up again, ready to keep going. So like obviously we haven't been able to do all the things we used to do when I was a full-time MLW guy, but at the same time, like I still had a lot of good memories doing this thing in studio and even from Zoom and just keeping in touch with you. So I know Jack has always given me so much credit for like, doing all the legwork behind the scenes and for the podcast and things like that, which I'm grateful for the opportunities the podcast gave me to do that. But also like just with our schedules, with me being full-time on MLW in the podcast and Jack having his own job, own family, everything, it kind of had to be that way. I think if Jack would have had the time to help me, he would have. And I appreciate him like, showing up ready to go at 7:00, like having read over the agenda. He's a total pro. Like it's not, having to train you guys, totally fresh, totally green to this. It's made me appreciate like, man, Jack just would step in every week and was just a natural, so good at interviewing guests and keeping the conversation flowing, mixing in jokes. And it's not that easy. And he dealt with all my voice cracks and all my crazy agendas and ideas and took it in stride. So it's been a fun journey. Again, that not like we're global podcast superstars or anything, but a couple thousand people have tuned in and really enjoyed. Like Jack, I've been to more of these events than you have, MLW events, and the big fans are always like, Tom, huge fan of you and Jack. Love listening to the pod. I'm always got you guys on, every week, and people really do enjoy it. So like you said, the positive force online that we were able to create, even if it was with a smaller community, is really appreciated by those that do listen. So I want to just thank you for your service and for the memories. And I'll definitely, just like those 2 championships, I'll remember the Pipe It Up chapter, with you and I co-hosting forever. I think you would probably say the same.
100%, man. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
It was, it's been a blast.
Absolutely. I think my only request, Jack, is that, we'll see how long I'm on every single week of this thing before guys like yourselves, Ty and Levi, take over. But I think at some point, like maybe next year at some point, I want to interview you. I want to check in with Jack, see how he's doing. Maybe talk about your wiffle ball game, talk about how the house is coming along, talk about your daughter growing up. I want to catch up on the pod, and I think the fans would like to hear a little conversation.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I said, I doubt this would be the last you guys ever hear from me. I hope it's not that way. So I don't think I could cut this podcast out that easily. Just because
it's tough to get away. It's tough.
Like Tommy said, it's tough to get away, man. It's been honestly, like Tommy and I, in like a really weird way, like I feel like have become really good friends, and 98% of that is just because we would talk for an hour every Monday night, whether we liked it or not. And we actually became really good friends through that. So something I will cherish forever.
Yeah. Well, Jack, again, we thank you. I'm sure we'll hear from you soon, whether it's a couple months, next year, whatever it may be. I'm sure, I don't know if you're like me, but are your DMs open, Jack, on Instagram or anything?
Yeah, of course. I mean, my account's public. I feel like at this point, 80% of my followers
Oh,
are
me too.
UMLW fans.
Me
So
too. More than that.
shoot me DM or whatever. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you guys can always reach out to Jack if you need anything. You can always reach out to me. So, round of applause. PB, cue the sound. Jack Aigner with probably around 4 years of service in the podcast weekly. What a job, Jack. Really appreciate you and thankful for the memories, brother. So, with that, Jack, why don't you sign us off this week? How about it?
Well, I think that's a wrap, folks. And we'll see you all next week.
Love it. Jack Aigner, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you,
See you
Jack.
guys.
See you guys.
Without further ado. All right, go.
Without further ado, oh man, sorry, BB. Without further ado,
Further ado.
wow, what the heck? I can't.
You can do it. You can do it.
Without further ado,
Nope.
Like,
Another. There's gonna be a
Say
lot of
other
bloopers on
words.
this.
I cannot say it. What?
The quick brown fox, whatever Kyle says.
Further ado.
Without further ado.
Without further ado,
Nope.
It's not to do.
Without further ado.
Just slow it down.
Without
further ado,
without further ado.
without further ado, this is the Pipe It Up podcast.
Bert, you're good. It's like what's
I don't
that
know.
lady in the commercial? Baked in a buttery, crispy crust. You ever seen that?
Nope. Never
Yeah.
seen that before.
You seen that? Yeah, you're too young.
But-
Pipe it up, pipe it up, pipe it up, pipe it up, pipe it up.